Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Athletic Studio podcast. I'm your host, Gordon Jomini Vong. Yes, normally Kate would be here as well. Unfortunately, she couldn't be here just due to a emergency. So hopefully she'll be with us for the next episode. A quick plug for Kate's new business, Glow Project. So she's released these amazing ring protectors. So if you do like weight training, resistance training, Pilates, play sport, or if you're a nurse or in the trade business and you need to protect your rings, definitely recommend check out Glow Project. I'm not going to talk too much on it. I've probably screwed up the description of it already, and Kate can definitely do a lot better job. And hopefully she'll be able to do that next week. But that's a quick plug for Kate. So with today's episode, guys, we are going to go over a topic called Daily Undulating Periodization training for better strength and body composition results. So this is a type of training method that I know for sure most of you would not have done or experienced before. So, first of all, what is daily undulating periodization? So, the only way I can really explain this is compare it. So, normally, if you're training for 2, 3, 4, 5 days during the week, the more common training method or training program that you're on right now is most likely going to be a linear training model. So, what that is, let's say Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, all those exercises or 90% of those exercises are in the 10 to 12 rep range. So you're specifically training for the outcome of muscle hypertrophy. DUP training, daily undulating periodization. I'm just going to call it DUP from now on throughout the whole podcast just because it's a lot easier. So with DUP training, you're getting the benefits of different training effects throughout the whole week. And it's been scientifically proven to actually get better results than linear training for strength and hypertrophy, but not everyone can do it. So we still use linear periodization in here in the studio and with our online clients as well. So what DUP will look like is, let's say if you're training 4 days per week, Monday and Tuesday will be your relative strength days. So those exercises will be in the 3 to 5 rep ranges and you're lifting a lot heavier. The movements are going to be probably a lot more powerful, a lot more speed. The goal for that training program is just to get as strong as possible, right? So you're getting the benefits of relative strength training. But then later in the week, you're doing days 3 and 4. You're on a 4-day program. Then you're on the hypertrophy rep ranges. So you're in the 10 to 12 rep range bracket. You're getting the benefits of both worlds there. So you're getting both like your relative strength and then you're getting the benefits of hypertrophy. And this is where most likely, let's say those scientific studies where it's been proven to get better results in linear training, it's most likely due to the fact that your body's being exposed to different stimuluses in training and you're obviously breaking plateaus and taking your body to another level, right? I first got exposed to this style of training when I was working with my own online trainer back in the past. And I was training like on a 5-day program then because I didn't have as many responsibilities as I did now. And I just really loved it because the first 2 days were just strength and power. And then the other 3 days were hypertrophy as well. So let's talk about the benefits of it. Now, the benefits of it is that you are going to get a lot stronger, a lot faster because you are training in those lower rep range brackets pretty much every week. So what you have to understand is that when you train in relative strength ranges and functional strength ranges, anything below, let's say 5 reps or 6 reps or less, you're teaching your body to recruit a lot more muscle fibers. So let's say if I'm doing like a bicep curl and I'm doing that for 10 reps, I'm most likely only probably recruiting, let's say 60, 70% of the muscle fibers to do that particular exercise. But if I lift something that's a lot heavier and I'm doing like 5 reps of that same dumbbell curl, it's forcing my bicep to recruit, let's say 70, 80, 90% of the muscle fibers. So I'm teaching my muscles to recruit more and more fibers and become more efficient to get stronger. So this is why powerlifters, Olympic weightlifters are so strong because they're only working in those lower rep ranges, 1 rep, 2 reps, 3 reps. And they're teaching their body to recruit as many muscle fibers as possible to be able to lift up the heaviest amount of weight, right? So the benefit of that is that, how that correlates is when you go back and then when you go into doing your hypertrophy rep ranges, you actually teach your muscles to recruit more muscle fibers to do the higher rep ranges as well. So Now, instead of recruiting 60% to do 10 reps on a bicep curl, now you're recruiting 70% to do 10 reps with that bicep curl. So you can lift heavier weight, right? So if you're doing that on a week to week basis, you're definitely going to get stronger in comparison to if you're just on the 4 week, 10 to 12 rep, 8 to 10 reps hypertrophy kind of rep range. One of the benefits is obviously to get stronger. And another benefit is you're definitely going to bust any training plateaus. If you're listening to this podcast and you're like, oh, I've been doing group training for a long time, I've been doing 10 to 12 reps for a long time, or I've never experienced any training programs where one day is focused on strength and then another day is focused on different rep ranges, well, it's definitely going to break a plateau because your body's not used to it as well. So it's a different training stimulus. Another good idea of when to do this is if you have a weak lift or a weak muscle part or a lagging body part. Say if you're going to be competing in a fitness show, photo shoot. So let's say for me, if I wanted to improve my upper chest and just get it stronger, get it bigger as fast as possible, I could probably train shoulders and upper chest 3 times per week. But to prevent plateauing and to prevent fatigue, I would do one day, 3 to 5 reps. I would do the second day, maybe 8 to 10 reps. And then I'll do the third day, let's say 12 to 15 or 15 to 17 reps. So I'm training my upper chest in a broad rep range from strength, hypertrophy, and strength endurance. And it's going to force some growth there for that particular muscle part or lagging area. So, guys, with the studies that are related to DUP training versus linear training, I'm going to put them into the show notes for you to have a look over. That way, I'm not going to bore you with going over it in this particular podcast as well. So there are different ways on how you can set up DUP training, and they have to be relevant for your particular goals, right? So the majority of our clients, they're training for fitness, strength, and body composition. So how we would split that up is if someone wants to do DUP training, first couple of days, focusing on either relative strength or functional strength. And then later in the week, it's going to always be in the hypertrophy rep ranges as well. If you're an athlete or you're recreational sport, you want to get faster, you want to get stronger, then the start of the week could look like power and speed. And then at the end of the week, it could be either functional strength, which is the mid rep ranges like 5 to 7 or 6 to 8, or it could be hypertrophy as well. And a lot of it's going to depend on the exercise selection and how you're performing the exercises as well. So let's say, for example, if someone just wanted to get super strong and focus on their strength in the beginning of the week, they're just going to perform a normal back squat for 3 to 5 reps with a 3-0-1-0 tempo. If an athlete wanted to get really powerful, fast, and strong, then they might do a box squat really fast or a squat from a pin or a more of an explosive particular movement with no tempo as well. So it really depends on your goal, and that will determine how you set that up. Now, who's it good for and who is it not good for? First of all, I wouldn't recommend this to anyone that's not doing a minimum of 4 times per week training. Now, the reason being is because if you're only training twice per week or 3 times per week, if you do one day strength and then 2 days hypertrophy, your hypertrophy gains and your strength gains are just not going to be fast enough, and you're not going to get the most out of that training, right? So this is why I would always recommend a minimum of 4 days training, is because then you get exposed to the rep ranges and the stimulus that you want to improve twice per week. Yeah. So we have a lot of clients here that they'll actually only train twice per week, and that's all that they do. And they'll lose 10 plus kilos, and they're mainly training in functional strength and hypertrophy rep ranges. If you were to train twice per week and we'll do one day strength and then one day hypertrophy, they won't get the body composition results that they'll get because we're trying to achieve 2 goals at the same time. And it obviously gets us a little bit slower. Now, you can achieve 2 goals at the same time, but you've got to make sure that you do enough work for you to make that happen. So if you are only training 2 to 3 times per week, I would just stick to the linear model, because the benefit of that is that if you're just focusing on hypertrophy for 3 to 4 weeks, your hypertrophy gains are going to be so much better over those 3 to 4 weeks. And then you can go into another 3 to 4 week block of strength training, and you're going to get so much stronger and get more benefit out of it doing it that way as well. Now, common mistakes and some tips for success with DUP training. Now, obviously, if you're training 4 times per week, you do have to make sure that you're recovering, right? So when you're doing strength training, power training, lifting heavier weight, it's more taxing. on your central nervous system. So you do have to look after your sleep. And then with your training hypertrophy rep ranges, it's more of a stressor on your muscles physically. So then you got to be looking after your nutrition as well to make sure that you're recovering, having enough protein too. Other mistakes that can happen is improper program setup. So look, if you want to actually do it properly, just reach out to someone like myself or my team, and we can actually set up the program for you. A common mistake with the programming is, let's say the rep schemes aren't a big enough difference for you to get a really good change. So if your strength rep ranges at the start of the week are 3 to 5 reps, and then at the end of the week you're doing 6 to 8 reps, then there's not really much of a gap for those two training effects to be contrasting enough to get a really good result, right? So you might as well just be doing a linear training phase. So the rep ranges need to be big enough for the different training effects that you want to be doing. Yeah. As always, guys, I will post up an example program on our Instagram account. That way you can get an idea and see and then give it a go yourself. I've personally had great results doing these types of programs. And one of the things that I did look forward to is that the variety during the week as well. So knowing that at the end of the week, I could look forward to my strength, I could just lift really heavy. It wasn't going to be as lactic acid producing. I wasn't going to be as puffed out and muscle sore as well. But then at the end of the week, I would be mentally prepared to go back into those higher rep range training phases as well, where I needed to push my body a little bit further through the lactic acid to produce the hypertrophy gains that I was after. And the good thing was as well is that it really helps with rest as well. So if you're someone who gets muscle sore a lot, then it can be a good idea to actually split up your training week with a bit of low rep training and then high rep training at different times. And that way your muscles get less sore as well. Guys, I hope you really enjoyed this episode around DUP training. If you have any questions, send us a message. Look forward to seeing you guys on the next podcast.
If you found this episode useful, it would mean the world to us if you shared, rated, and liked this podcast. It's how we keep it alive.
Also, be sure to follow us on Instagram at Athletic Studio. We would love to connect with you and see how your fitness and health improves with this newfound knowledge. Until next time.